Tears of the Kingdom just confirmed something with this new trailer, but it confirmed something that I have never worried about because I still saw so much potential with this game doing this one thing, and that's having a varied amount of enemies and bosses. And so far, out of all the trailers that we've gotten, we have seen so many enemies, so many creatures, so many boss battles it looks like that are in this game. It's insane. This game is going to have some of the craziest list of creatures and enemies, and that's something I feel like the first game maybe lacked. It was just lots of moblins and bokoblins, but this time it looks like they're diving deep, even into past enemies that appeared in past Zelda games. So today I have a total of 29 enemies and creatures that we've seen so far in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, plus an additional 6 that was leaked within that art book, and I will not be showing any images from that art book, but kind of just talking about them at the end, and I'll also put up a spoiler warning before getting to those. But first, starting off with the 29 confirmed throughout the trailers, here are all 29 creatures that we've seen so far. The very first creature we've seen in any trailer so far was the Zonai statue that seemed to be some type of new creature. Now this could just be an NPC that you talk to up in the Sky Islands. I mean, we've seen some smaller versions of this thing that looked like they were just in control of farming and stuff, and a lot of people think that this could just still be the farming Zonai statues that we've seen already, the constructs, but no, because actually in the art book, I'm just going to give a little bit of information about this creature. It's actually that size. It's very big, at least from what I've seen. So this definitely seems to be either maybe a owner of some of the islands, maybe kind of the leader of some of these constructs, but I think it could also be a boss simply because of the arena and area where you're at. It looks like a battle arena, so maybe it's going to train Link and maybe not necessarily be an enemy, but definitely something Link battles like a boss battle. We have the brand new Stone Talus enemies, which seem to have enemy camps on top of them, which means you'll probably have to climb to the top in order to find the weak spot. Normally the weak spot is a stone of sort, which you have to break, but there's no stone in any of these scenes unless it's hidden somewhere or maybe at the top of the enemy camp, but there might be a new way to take these guys out this time around, which we just haven't seen yet. But there's definitely Stone Taluses. We've seen multiple different versions, and yeah, it looks like they are going to make a big role in this game. It even looks like maybe some of them will be walking around the map, and you won't even have to wake them up as Link is approaching one that's already moving with his own contraption. We then see Link fighting something that appears to be a like in a cave hanging from the ceiling, and we're used to seeing it eat Link and spit out one of his items, and it could be the same type of thing here, this time having some type of weird uvula or ball sticking out of its mouth with teeth around it as well, but Link is able to defeat it quickly with fire. And there's probably going to be different variants of this creature as well, and we'll probably see a lot of these in the cave networks. It might be a cave exclusive enemy. We also saw a leaked trailer showing us that some of these underground sections are going to be pitch black, so having a like pop out and try to swallow Link will be definitely scary, and it will be detrimental if it's able to take one of your items and actually keep it, and there's no way to get it back even when you kill it, which means you have to be very careful not to lose your favorite weapons. Now these new flying enemies appear to be Kargaroks, which were giant birds in past games, but this time it's more of a reptilian bird hybrid thing. I don't really know, but they're definitely kind of wicked looking. Now they still carry enemies like bokoblins like we've seen in Wind Waker and drop them off as we've seen in multiple different trailers, so it seems like this will be their main role, kind of just to fly around and attack Link when he's nearby and also drop different troops down on top of Link in order to attack him. Now, yes, we are going to talk about all the enemies that once again return from Breath of the Wild, but I wanted to talk about these ones specifically in this cave because they seem to be emitting some type of red glow, which seems to be some type of malice-infused enemies. You can even see a pool of malice in the background, so maybe they're corrupted and a lot stronger. Who knows? But I also want to point out, and not really included as a new enemy because we don't know for sure, but these weird little flames which normally represent Poes, which are ghost creatures from past Zelda games. Just thought I threw that in there. We keep seeing this red malice explosion, and we've seen it again in the new trailer with some weird arms sticking out, and it almost look like guardian arms combined with some type of monster creature, which we've seen some things actually like that in Age of Calamity. So maybe there's some type of new monster or something that Ganondorf is sending out into the field, and they're just not quite showing us what it looks like yet. But it looks like some type of monster fused with guardian arms. Who knows right now? There's a good chance that this could just be some rocks crashing by Death Mountain, but it definitely looks like an Igneo Talus, but just one gigantic massive one, like the size of a mountain. Could you imagine just one Stone Talus just absolutely huge, like a giant hill or something that you have to continuously scale your way up to the top and make your way to his kind of, you know, weak point. That would be really, really cool, and this just looks like a giant Igneo Talus to me. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Now we have some returning enemies. We have new versions of Bokoblins, Moblins, and Lizalfos, and obviously we know why they have these weird things on their head, because they're different spear tips and sword tips that we can fuse with our weapons probably after we kill them, and they drop these things. So yeah, it's pretty much the same Moblins, Bokoblins, Lizalfos, stuff that we've expected and seen from the first game, but they're just coming back with new headgear, you know, in order for them to attack us with and in order for us to fuse with our weapons. We have these new big Moblins called Boss Moblins, and they wear little horn crowns, and they also can control the different Bokoblins and probably Moblins around them by blowing a horn, kind of acting as the troop leader and the biggest one in the group, which we've definitely seen big Moblins before, like in Twilight Princess with King Balblin. For a very brief second, we see something that looks like a Redead. It has a skeletal body towards the torso, and then as it goes up, it has more of a beetle look with a beetle face and even pincers on its mouth, which still looks like a Redead to me. I would assume we'll probably see these guys a lot in the underground caverns, which will scare us half to death. We then see Molduga appear within the trailer, and it seems to be an army of them. We never see Link fight one head on, so I don't know if they're actually going to be in the game and able to be fought, or if it's just going to be for a cutscene purpose or something. Looks like the new character, or the new form of Zelda, is blasting at them with one of her light energy beams. The Hinox is also returning in this game and also has a new thing on his head with some type of new gem crystal around his neck as a necklace, but yeah, just the same type of enemy, you know, archetype where there's something on their heads that you could probably use to fuse into something else. So that's really about it. We have another Zonai creation, which seems to be a pile of boxes that transforms into some type of soldier. I almost want to say this could be one of those things that transforms into multiple different versions of things as well, not just a soldier. Like imagine if its phase 2 form was like a snake, like Moldorm, where it slithered around the stage and you had to find a way to hit that glowing block. Because yes, it does have a green energy glowing block and the back end of it towards its right shoulder, so maybe Link has to find a way up there, climbing up his arm after it swings in order to take it out Shadow of the Colossus style. We then have some Zonai construct soldiers, which I don't know if they're training Link or actively trying to kill Link. It's impossible to say right now. None of them really look evil. I still think it's a big training thing in order to help Link level up and stuff, but yeah, you have some Zonai construct soldiers which pick up whatever weapons are on the ground and try to attack Link with them. We then go to the brand new trailer where we have some type of Zonai construct super soldier coming out of the wall, and you can see it has that familiar mask we've seen on different people, including that strange figure talking to Zelda, which seems to also be some type of Zonai. So once again, I think this robot is there to train Link as a boss battle, and the face actually also reminds me of something else. It reminds me a lot of Godon from Wind Waker with the same color scheme and everything, and in that game it was there to train Link. It appears in this scene Link is fighting some type of Goron here on Death Mountain, as he also has his fire suit, but with that as well, I don't know what Goron would be fighting Link, because we've never really seen any Goron want to fight him, but we've seen in past games Link had to train by fighting Gorons, so maybe he's fighting one in order to train to get to some area that's deep within the mountain, or something like that, or maybe it's another creature entirely. It's hard to say, but for this sake we're just going to call it an angry Goron. We also see the return of the rock Octorok somewhere on Death Mountain as well, as it spits out a fiery rock and Link actually shoots it right back at him to defeat him, which is pretty cool. We then see a big flat head version of the Zonai construct soldier, this one wielding a bow and arrow as it's trying to fire at Link and misses terribly while they are on the minecarts, which maybe it's a archer version of the Zonai construct? It's hard to tell. We then see some type of giant ice leviathan monster that is super creepy, flying in the air to take out Link and 10doland as they're flying with it. There's really not that many platformers for Link to land here. There's a couple ones flying, but for the most part it looks like this is an air battle, which might also allude to that pattern that had Link shooting arrows while in the air, which would be a really cool way to take out this thing. But what is this thing? Now the body and mandibles of this creature as it comes out of the ice wormhole reminds me a lot of Goma, kind of like a skeletal bug that's trying to attack Link. Now it definitely could also be one of the leviathans that we've actually found, like that ice one in that ice cavern that we found in that cave, which could be brought back to life thanks to Ganondorf or something like that. And maybe there's different versions of these creatures all over the map, like the fire one in Eldin and also the sand one in the Gerudo Desert. You guys enjoying this video so far? If so, make sure you stop right now, leave a like, and subscribe before we continue, because this was a lot of fun to make and I would love to make more like this. Let me know you guys enjoy it by leaving a like and subscribing. It goes a long way, guys. Thank you. We also see one that's like a purple shark covered in this black ink everywhere, and it seems like Link has to take this out to stop the spread of ink, because we can see it in different scenes spreading off of the Sky Islands and falling onto the map of Hyrule. It doesn't seem to be red like coming from the Malice creatures of Ganondorf, and it doesn't seem to be green like the Zonai creatures, so what is this purple color? Is it a third party that's interrupting in the story or something? Or maybe it's just another evil creature from Ganondorf that just doesn't happen to have that red tint. Not every creature has to have red to be Ganondorf owned, but I just thought I'd bring it up. You can also see another type of Zonai construct soldier having a tall, skinny head this time and wielding a spear. Maybe these are spear constructs, as Link and Sidon work together in order to take this one out. Lynels are making their grand return with giant sword-like antlers now, which makes them just as intimidating. I mean, seriously, look at that one in the back right. We then finally see the name of the three-headed dragon as Fire Gleeok, thanks to a commercial that actually aired that, Nintendo said, we didn't want that to air, but we know now it's Fire Gleeok, which probably means that there's going to be different versions as well, like an Icy Gleeok and even an Electricity Gleeok, which is pretty cool. Within that TV ad, we've seen him shoot some fire lasers at Link and fly shortly above him, and it looks like he's going to be able to fly around the area as well, high into the sky and swooping down below, which is going to be a super fun boss battle. Also, considering the fact that it doesn't seem to be a boss battle, just one of those giant overworld bosses or overworld enemies that kind of feel like a boss, like the Lynel. For Ganondorf, I actually put 3 different types of Ganondorfs down on this list because I think it's not going to be about just rushing to the end to fight Ganondorf once and we're done. I think there might be different phases and different times within the gameplay and the story itself where we fight Ganondorf. Maybe we even fight his skeletal form, because it seems to show different scenes of his skeletal form a lot. Like maybe there is an early battle where he's very weak and we beat him, but then he retreats in order to regain his true form. And maybe towards the middle of the game, we keep continuously fighting the normal Ganondorf. It seems like he has a long blade as well, and he's just a buff dude. I mean, look at this guy. It's going to be really fun to go toe-to-toe with this guy with our swords, and I think it's something that the first game, once again, was missing. Just one of those big 1v1 sword fights, which is just going to be so much fun. There's another scene of Ganondorf where he doesn't look like a normal muscle-bound human. He actually looks creepy, as his arms gain scales and his hair blows back in this weird fiery tangled mess, and it looks like he grows a giant cape behind him as if he's infused with his own malice, which could very well be Demise, which we talked about already. It would also explain why they don't decide to show his face here, because it probably is going to reveal a completely different look for Ganondorf, which could be the last level up form of Ganondorf towards the end of the game in the last version we fight, which they'll definitely want to keep that under wraps for now. That's the 29 enemies that I have seen throughout the trailers that are confirmed so far. There's also this creature that some people think could be evil. I don't think so. I think all the Zonai are probably going to be good, and this seems to be one of those Zonai and like a flashback scene that could be the one that helped to take out Ganondorf a long time ago. So no, I don't think this is actually an enemy. I think this is maybe a cutscene or a flashback to some type of war they had or some type of big battle that they just finished. I still think it's the imprisoning of Ganondorf is what we're looking at here. Now we go into the leaked category from that art book, which gives us another look at about 6 other enemies. So if you don't want to be spoiled and don't want to hear this, this will be the end of the video for you. But for those of you that want to continue listening and listening to some of the creatures that I'm going to describe that were pictures from that art book, stay tuned because there's some interesting ones. Alright, this was your last chance. We're moving on now. So the first thing I've seen was a long-armed, hunched-over, big-nosed goblin creature with leaves lining its spine and all the way up its back. There is a white one, a blue one, and a yellow one, and even a white one infused with red/pink malice. Now, these creatures looked very creepy. They look pretty tall as well, with extremely long arms. I don't know what they're supposed to be. I couldn't even think of what past game they could be referencing, but they definitely definitely are creepy, and they gave me a little bit of some chills. And thanks to the leaves on their back, it's safe to assume that they do some type of camouflage and jump out of piles of leaves in order to attack Link, which is literally going to give me a heart attack if I'm in a pitch black cave. The next enemy I have is different types of likes, which I didn't want to completely, spoil, but yeah, there are going to be different types, which we could expect. There is an ice one, a fire one, a rock one, and an electricity one. The next one, we have a giant fat frog with 2 giant teeth sticking up from the bottom of its mouth and 1 giant eye like a Hinox. There's a black and white versions as well, and some sort of stone or warts on their back, which probably means you have to climb up there and pop them all, kind of like you do with the stone on a stone talus. Now this reminded me an awful lot of the Deku Toad from Twilight Princess, which could be the same thing, but instead of eyeballs on his back, it just looked like different types of warts or stones that you had to break or pop. So yeah, these things look massive as well, so we'll see how big they actually are. Another enemy I saw was like a baby version of this frog, perhaps. They were like baby frogs with giant gems on their back. One had a giant ruby on its back, and maybe it's just defended from that side. You have to try to maybe flip it over and hit its underside, but it almost kind of looks like a Yoshi with 1 eye in the middle. Imagine a little frog Yoshi type of creature with 1 eye and a giant gem on his back as he crawls on all 4s on the ground. So yeah, it could definitely be a baby version of the frog I just mentioned, but who knows. You also have the bull creature, which seems to be the same creature that Link and Zelda were riding at the very beginning of this whole process of waiting for Tears of the Kingdom. That very first reveal trailer when they were walking through the cave to find Ganondorf. And actually, I believe that someone leaked the name of this thing, and the suffix is Dongo. So I don't know if this is the new Dodongo, which wouldn't make sense because they seem like big lizards all the time instead of actual bulls that you could ride. So maybe that's just, a brief name for like something else Dongo that we just don't know what the first word is, the prefix. But it also just looks like a bull, but has the eyes of almost like an enemy that you could defeat. So I'm wondering if there's going to be wild ones that we could take down, or is this just something for the very beginning of the game and that's its only purpose it serves? Who knows? Maybe it's just wildlife. Maybe it's just a bull we can find anywhere in the overworld. And finally, we have something in the art book that looks exactly like the skeletal Ganondorf, but it has no hair, no jewelry on it or anything. It's just simply like a mummy corpse. And I don't know if this is a version of Ganondorf that we eventually get where all of his hair falls off and clothes fall off for some reason. I don't know. Or maybe this is just for the art book thing, just to show you what's underneath the hair and everything. But I almost kind of considered it being a new version of the Gibdos, which was like a mummy creature that was found underground. So maybe there's a whole bunch of other mummified creatures that also kind of look like the Sheikah monks, but that are evil now, and they can chase you underground. Now, talk about scary. That could be absolutely terrifying. So I'm not sure if this is just Ganondorf's, skeletal corpse form, or if this is actually Gibdos coming back to the game. Either way, this is definitely a creepy looking enemy. And that is all 35 enemies that we've seen, heard about, or have been leaked so far with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And that's just all we know of. And I know there's going to be tons of things that we still don't know, which is super exciting. This game seems to have a really great enemy list. We don't know if the Yiga are still out there, and there's a lot of other things like the Guardians and different Sheikah technology. We don't know if those are still out there, but it's just a matter of time until we get our hands on this game because it's literally just like 3 weeks away, guys. I am super excited. Let me know how excited you are in the comments down below, and let me know what other enemies you would like to see in this game. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.